points for a new committee that,
okay.
you know, relatively soon we adopted this we drafted a policy that was adopted by the council.
Right.
And so we, you know, we had public hearings about that, talked about issues, how we responded as a city, and that was one way that the city had come together, our religious communities, our education communities, our public safety community, to be able to respond when those incidents occur. Because there seemed to be a lot of them at the time that the committee was established.
Oh, wow.
I'm thankful we've had a couple since then,
Okay.
but not to the same level that we had previously. And I think what we're seeing is, I wouldn't say a greater acceptance, but an understanding that the city is growing more diverse,
Right.
and that we are not accepting of those kind of attitudes and behaviors for our residents in the city of Bowie. And I think people are adjusting their behavior because of that.
Well, thank you very much. And I know our viewers at home will be able to actually understand more about what you just mentioned. And hopefully, we're looking to get some members of the Diversity Committee on global culture very, very soon. And just to push more on that, because that's critical, you laid a good foundation for the committee. So over the time, I know you moved to a greater role as a city council member.
Right.
Can you just share with the members of the audience what are the critical policy in place, action in place to be able to entrench this on a continuous basis?
Well, I mean, I think we established, like you said, a good foundation, a good legacy. One of the other things that we adopted during the time that I was co-chair,
Right.
and it might have come after I had stepped down because I had decided to run for the city council in 2005, so I stepped down once I got elected.
Right.
One of the other things that has been an annual tradition now has been our Multicultural Day in October.
Okay.
So, you know, for the last, I think we've done it for about 5 or 6 years now.
Right.
In October, the first weekend of October, we celebrate our diversity, all different cultures that we have here by having at Allen Pond Park a day where, you know, one of the things that we initiated was having a passport system where you would go around to each of the countries or each of the booths, get some exposure to that particular culture.
Right.
Obviously, we have vendors there for food, for arts, for other information in order to encourage people about the diversity of the population here in the city of Bowie. So that's a continuing event that it came out of the Diversity Committee at that time.
Right.
Second program or event that came out of the Diversity Committee that is continuing as we speak is the Martin Luther King celebration.
Okay.
Each January, now a little bit later in the spring, where we have adopted from doing an essay contest. Now we're doing multimedia things. We had photography this year for the first time, and so we're instilling the respect for diversity and cooperation in our students by their participation in the Martin Luther King program.
Right.
One of the other policy things that the Diversity Committee has done since I've been on the council, and I've asked them to do this, is to look at our hiring practices for the city of Bowie, to make sure that our policies are consistent with both federal, state law, and making sure that we're hiring diverse people as part of that. One of the things when I first moved into the city, there was always this kind of north versus south divide, you know, older Bowie versus the newer Bowie. And I think we've gotten away from that. Not to say there's still some stuff there, but we've gotten away from that. And one of the things that I've heard, and previous people who've been on the council have heard, is how the workforce in the city of Bowie is not as diverse as the rest of the population.
Right.
Obviously, with the implementation of the city police department, we're seeing obviously a very diverse officer base, both you know, in our patrol. I don't think we've necessarily seen that in the leadership level yet, and that's something we're looking to do. We now have a deputy police chief position that's available, and we put out to RFP. So we're trying to hire more diverse people to be reflective of the city, but we also want people who are qualified, which, you know, that obviously you want people who are able to do the work. And I think obviously we're past that point where we have to say that anymore. I mean, obviously the people that we hire have to have the skills and be able to do stuff successfully.
Absolutely.
The second thing that the committee has looked at on occasion, we started this when I was there, was looking at the city's contracting process to make sure that everybody has the fair opportunity to be able to compete for contracts with the city of Bowie that we let. And I think the diversity committee, I just saw this recently, I was cleaning up my my office the other day, came out with a report about 2 years ago, I believe, that gave an overview of the contracting process as far as how many minorities, how many women actually receive contracts, how many, something I'm really concerned about now, how many local businesses, small and local businesses are participating in city contracting, because as we've seen on other levels of government, whether it's county, state, or federal, this is your foot in the door, particularly for minority women-owned and small business firms, to be able to develop the resources in order to get bigger and grow.
Right, absolutely.
And one of the things that I've advocated probably for about the last 4 years, and we're hoping it to come to fruition beginning of next year in 2012, is the small business incubator with Bowie State University.
Right.
So we can develop. One of the things I found out was interesting. I hosted a business town hall probably about 4 years ago, and invited all the businesses that have Bowie zip codes that are registered with the state, and most of those are small home-based businesses. Mom and pop kind of shops, professional, some. And what we're trying to do is to develop them so they can continue to grow and stay here in the city of Bowie to provide that economic engine into the future. And so the business incubator will be part of that process of encouraging those businesses.
Thank you so much for sharing a lot of, that's a lot of detailed information. I know some viewers at home, you will find them very, very useful, especially for small businesses. And I'm going to speak to the International Festival. As a matter of fact, we likely to bring someone who is on that committee to speak to this. The event is going to come up on October the 1st. So viewers at home, please mark your calendar. So make sure you get to Allentown and be able to, visit different countries and, wear your attires, bring things that you've been able to, share that you're willing to share with other people from other countries. I think it would be very fascinating to do that. Councilman, before you leave, final question will be, in terms of the strategies that the council have right now, how does the council want to make sure that the reflection of the current census is being implemented in the different areas you actually mentioned?
I think some of the things I mentioned that we'll continue to operate on, and I think this is the role that the Diversity Committee, as a kind of an advisory committee to the City Council. And I appreciate it, because we brought these, when I was in the leadership there, we brought these issues forward to the Council, and the Council adopted some policies as a result of that. So not to say it has to be from the ground up, but I'd be interested to hear what the Diversity Committee would recommend to the Council to do that. I think on the hiring practices, on the contracting, it's something we still should get an annual update on, just to see how we're doing, and whether or not we need to do more.
Absolutely.
Because it's a situation that you need to establish a foundation, a legal foundation, before you can go into more specialized programs, particularly under government contracting, according to the Supreme Court decisions. So there are a lot of things we can do before we get to that, and I want to make sure that we can implement those. And the council has a role in establishing that kind of policy.
And I'm going to just ask this question, not to put you on the spot, but when the city opened, and I overheard someone making or asking the question that will the city actually have the flags of all the countries in the city in the main hall?
In City Hall?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting. It hadn't been something that had been approached to us before. Something I think the council would consider. One of the things that we are going to be putting in the new City Hall is what we have here currently at Ken Hill Center is our Hall of Fame. And I think as the city continues to grow, the Hall of Fame is a way to recognize special citizens of the city of Bowie for their contributions. And hopefully that wall will get more diverse as we continue to get diverse. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the people. It's a nominated process, so anybody can come forward based on your service to the city in different ways.
I'm sorry, we're really out of time, Congressman, Councilman. I hope we'll be able to bring you back next time to be able to share some fascinating things that you are doing in the council with the members of the public. Viewers at home, we come to another end of another session of Global Culture. We have a long list of different upcoming events. Please check us on Facebook. We are now on Facebook, Global Culture TV on Facebook. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Akinwale Ojomo. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next time.